Have you ever faced a moment when life fell apart, when everything you valued was suddenly taken from you, and you couldn't understand why? In those moments, it's easy to think life is unfair, that fate has turned against you. But what if every loss hides a blessing you just can't see yet? This is the story of a young man who lost everything in a single day, only to discover that what felt like the end was, in truth, the beginning of something greater. In a quiet forest where the wind carried whispers of forgotten wisdom, a young man ran desperately through the trees. His clothes were torn, his heart heavy. When he reached a clearing, he fell to his knees before a wise old sage. Tears streamed down his face as he cried, "Master, I've lost everything. Thieves attacked me in the forest. They took my money, my food, everything. Now I have nothing left. Why would life be so cruel to me?" The sage, calm as still water, placed a gentle hand on his shoulder and said softly, "My child, do not lose heart. Whatever happens, happens for a reason." The young man's grief turned into anger. "How can you say that? This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me." The sage smiled knowingly. "Let me tell you a story," he said. "Long ago, in a small riverside village, lived a poor farmer with his wife and young son. Their life was simple, just a small hut and a few sacks of grain, but they were content. Then, one year, disaster struck. A terrible flood swept through the village, washing away homes, crops, and livestock. The farmer lost everything. He sat in the mud, clutching his head. "This is the end. We have nothing left." But his young son looked at him and said gently, "Father, don't lose hope. Whatever happens, happens for a good reason." Angered, the farmer shouted, "Don't speak nonsense! We've lost everything!" In his rage, he pushed his son out of the house. "Leave! You are no longer my son!" The boy, heartbroken, left in tears. That night, the farmer sat in silence, filled with regret. "What have I done?" he whispered. Just then, rescue boats arrived, saving the villagers from the rising waters. His wife said, "See, our son was right. Help has come." But the farmer shook his head bitterly. "We still have nothing left. What good can come from this?" Weeks passed. At his wife's urging, the farmer left for the city to find work. Days turned into weeks, and he faced rejection after rejection. Just as he was about to give up, a kind merchant offered him a job and a place to stay. The farmer worked hard for years, slowly rebuilding his life. One evening, there was a knock at his door. When he opened it, he froze. Standing before him was his son grown, smiling and holding a bag of gold. "Father," said the son, "after you sent me away, I struggled, but I learned. I found work, studied business, and built my own company. I came to take you and mother home. Look, I've even bought a new house." The farmer's eyes filled with tears as he embraced his son. "If the flood hadn't come," the son said softly, "if you hadn't sent me away, none of this would have happened. Now, we have a better life." The farmer wept with joy. "You were right, my son," he said. "Everything truly does happen for a reason." When the sage finished his story, he looked at the young man and said, "You see, my child, sometimes life takes away what we think we need, only to give us something greater in return." The young man sighed, "But I've lost everything. How can that be good for me?" The sage smiled and handed him a small, shiny stone. "Take this," he said. "It might help you." When the young man looked closely, his eyes widened. It was no ordinary stone, but a rare and precious gem. "Had you not lost your belongings," said the sage, "you would never have met me, and I would never have given this to you." The young man bowed deeply, a new light in his eyes. He left the forest no longer burdened by sorrow, but filled with hope. Life doesn't always show us its purpose right away. Sometimes, what feels like the end is only the beginning of something far greater. So when everything seems to fall apart, hold on. What feels like a setback today may be the foundation for a brighter tomorrow. Everything happens for a reason, even if we can't see it yet.